All right, so I want to introduce Timaj first. Timaj, can you tell us what your background is in public health and everything?
Yeah, so my name is Timaj. I just graduated from Texas A&M. I majored in biochemistry and minored in public health and psychology. So I do a lot of public health work as well in the community. So I'm excited to explain a lot of like some intricacies about what the vaccine is. There's a lot of biochemistry into this too, when I talk about the virus. So excited to share that.
Awesome, thank you. And then we have Dr. Douglas from San Francisco, California, all the way out there. So can you tell us a little bit about, like, I know you've done some things with vaccines and stuff, but yeah, can you give us a little bit more on that?
Yeah, you bet. Hi, everyone. It's great to get to spend some time with you this evening. My background is in pharmacy, and so I graduated in the year 2000 with my doctorate in pharmacy. And prior to graduating, I had fallen in love with doing research and really have spent my whole career running clinical trials. So I now work at a company called Esker Therapeutics. Our focus is on autoimmune diseases. So think about psoriasis, you might think about celiac, ulcerative colitis, lupus, and that's what I'm doing now. That's where I get to play. I've spent the bulk of my career in oncology, where, of course, the outcomes for many of the diseases that I worked in, glioblastoma, so brain cancer, ovarian cancer, breast cancer, have awful outcomes, much as what you might associate or have seen with COVID. And so the protection of life or preventing what we can around disease has always been a part of my fabric, I suppose, and will be probably until my time comes to an end. But this has been a fascinating couple of years as we've been going through the experience with COVID. That is for sure. Live in California, San Francisco. Been here almost 20 years. And it's interesting when you think about our country and how diverse, the melting pot's what we like to think of ourselves as, how diverse we are in terms of thoughts, opinions, and approaches in addressing COVID-19.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm thinking Timaj is going to get us started with some stuff first, right? All right, so I'm going to put Timaj back up here and you can go ahead.
I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about covering over some myths versus facts about the vaccine. I know there's so many misinformation out there on social media and stuff like that. So I wanted to hit the top 11 points today. So if you agree with the statement, if you think it's true, you'll put a thumbs up. And if you think the statement is false and it's a myth, you put a thumbs down on your Zoom key. So I'm gonna go through these questions now. Okay, so the first question is, the COVID vaccine can affect women's fertility. So you can put a thumbs up if you agree, if you think it's true, and if you put a thumbs down if you think it's false. And I'll give y'all a couple seconds. Okay, so this is a myth. So COVID vaccine does not affect fertility. The COVID vaccine just encourages your body to create copies of spike proteins found in coronavirus surfaces. So basically, it creates these proteins. So when the actual virus comes, your body already knows how to attack it and recognize it in your system. So that's what the immune system. It helps build your immune system up. Next question. Getting COVID-19 can have a potential serious impact on pregnancy and the mother's health. So this is COVID-19 itself. You can put a thumbs up if you think it's true, and you can put a thumbs down if you think it's false.
If you say so.
That's my phone. Okay. So that is a fact. So getting COVID-19 can have a potential serious impact on pregnancy and the mother's health. There is a lot of serious health risks that can come from catching COVID. So the vaccine will help prevent most of them. Next question. If I have already had COVID-19, I do not need a vaccine. Do y'all think it's true, or do you think it's false? False, yeah. I see his thumbs down in the back. Correct, it's a myth. So evidence continues to indicate that getting COVID-19 vaccines is the best protection against getting COVID-19, whether you have already had the COVID-19 or not. There's also publication of people who have got infected, both who are vaccinated and unvaccinated, and they're 2 times more likely to not be hospitalized or get sick if they had the vaccine already. Getting the vaccine provides a greater protection and to others, since the vaccine helps reduce the spread of the COVID-19 and its effects. So even if you are caught COVID, you come back again and still cause issues. So side note, at the time of the vaccination, be sure to tell your care provider about your history of COVID-19 illnesses, including kind of treatments, if any, received. And when you're recovered, it's good to don't take the vaccine if you're actually sick or you have COVID. So make sure to wait that isolated period. Next question. Researcher rushed the development of the COVID-19 vaccine, so its effectiveness and safety cannot be trusted. Do you agree with the statement or do you disagree? So since it was rushed, that means it's saying that it's not effective, it's not safe. Do you think that's true or false? False. Yes, it's a myth also. Studies found that 2 initial vaccines are both about 95% effective and reported no serious or life-threatening side effects. And some of the reasons why, I mean, it's like that the vaccine was able to be developed more quicker than others was because, number one, the method that was used in Pfizer and Moderna has been developed for years. This thing has been practiced, this messenger RNA, and itself is also a way that approach like made it faster to tackle these issues. Messenger RNA is a fast approach, traditional way than the vaccines are made. Also, they didn't even skip any steps. They just like combined some steps, overlapping them, so that helped gather data more faster. There was more money and resources available during for COVID-19 vaccines, so they had more power in doing it. And also COVID-19 is so contagious and widespread, so they were able to collect more data and understand the vaccine much, but they could collect more data to get more information about it. And there's more reasons as well. So question number 5, even after giving COVID-19 vaccine, is still advised to continue wearing masks and taking coronavirus precautions. I see some thumbs down, I see thumbs up. Okay, so thumbs up, thumbs down. I see you have a split. So it's a fact. So the CDC continues to monitor and spread of COVID-19 and makes recommendations for wearing masks for both who are fully and not fully vaccinated. There's a lot of reasons for this. Number one, like we have kids who are not able to take the vaccine. I know right now Pfizer is allowing, I think from 5-year-olds and above. So I think that's really good. There's also people who are, have a weak immune system, and until we get everything situated, it's going to be really nice if we could protect one another. And people, yeah. So it's still recommended to keep doing our social distancing and keeping our masks on. So getting COVID-19 vaccine gives you COVID-19. So if you agree, thumbs up. If you disagree, thumbs down. If you think it's false. Awesome. I see a lot of thumbs down. That's good. Had to debate somebody about this too. Okay, yes, it's a myth. So the COVID-19 vaccine is not the COVID-19. It just gives it just produces the proteins that is a part of the SARS-CoV-2 coronavirus, which helps your body recognize and fight the virus if it comes along. So basically it puts like proteins on to detect when the actual virus comes in, so your immune system knows how to attack it and to recognize it when it comes to your system, so you can have a faster response. So question number 7. The side effects of COVID-19 vaccines are dangerous. I see that we're split again too for this one. It's cool. Okay, so that's a myth. So the Pfizer and Moderna COVID-19 vaccine can have side effects, but the vast majority are very short term, not serious or dangerous. The vaccine developers report that some people experience pain where they were injected, body aches, headaches, or fever lasting for a day or two. These are signs that the vaccine is working to stimulate your immune system. So when I took the shot, I actually had like my arm was hurting for just 2-3 days, and that after that it went away. But that just shows that your body's reacting to it, so that means it's working. So but if the symptom is persisting more than 2-3 or weeks, you should go to a doctor, make sure that everything's okay, but it should go away soon. Side note, if you have allergies, especially severe ones that require you to carry EpiPen, you should discuss with your doctor about it and stuff like that. If you have other allergies, make sure to talk to your pharmacy or your doctor about these, and they will help you with that. Question number 8. So the COVID-19 vaccine enters your cell and changes your DNA. This is another thing that was heated that I was talking to a lot of people with as well. So is this true or is this false? You think it's false? Angelina, what do you think? Thumbs down? Okay. Awesome. So yes, it is a myth. So the COVID-19 vaccines are designed to help your body immune system fight the coronavirus. Same thing. The messenger RNA of the two types of COVID vaccine, it does enter the cell. It does enter the cell, but does not enter the nucleus of the cell where the DNA resides. So I'm going to explain this more later. The messenger RNA does its job, causes cell to make protein to stimulate the immune system, and then quickly breaks down without affecting your DNA. So we have 2 ways of doing these. We have transcription and translation. And basically, where transcription occurs where you're in the nucleus of your DNA, right? So that's where usually when our messenger RNA, when our body makes it, it's going to be in the nucleus. However, when once it comes out, it's going to go and create proteins and it sends signals to your body to make whatever it's trying to make. So in the COVID vaccine, it already has the messenger already made, so it's not going to be going into your nucleus and interfering with your DNA. So that's a separate category here, and it's just going to be in your cell and continue the translation method. The good thing about that is that RNA does not stay long. It does disintegrate. It does break down quickly. Then DNA stays for a longer time. And this could be for 2 reasons, right? RNA, it has an OH hydroxy group here, which is going to be more reactive. DNA is not. and also that RNA is more prone to heat degradation and other chemicals in our body. Let's go up, so it will go away eventually. So messenger RNA and spike protein don't last long in the body. Our cells break down the messenger RNA and get rid of it within a few days after vaccinated. So within even a few weeks, this system won't even be in our system anymore. So if you want to see any type of side effects for long term, I was reading an article that talks about like a maximum, like you will see is like 6 months. Like you will see every like major side effects you will see long term, whatever, within 6 months, because these things don't stay for long. Next question. Messenger RNA technology used to make the COVID-19 vaccine has been developed for almost 2 decades. Or is it something new? We don't know. What do y'all think? You think it's fact? Innocent? Okay, awesome. Anyone else? Okay, so that is a fact, yes. So messenger RNA technology beyond the new development coronavirus has been in development for almost 2 decades. The vaccine markers created technology to help them respond quickly to new pandemic illnesses like the COVID-19. So they're a quick, easy way to create vaccines, effective vaccines. COVID-19 vaccine was developed with or contains controversial substance. Is this true or is this false? And this is one of the major topic of the COVID vaccine, like criticism everybody comes about. So what do y'all think? Does it come with things that are controversial substance, like, I don't know, like microchips or things like that, or toxins like lead or something like that? I was arguing with someone about that too, discussing with somebody. So what do y'all think? You think it's true or do you think it's false? False? Okay, awesome, awesome. You're correct. Yeah, it's a big, big, big mess. So the first two, FDA contains messenger RNA and other normal, so it has normal vaccine ingredients such as fats. That's always in our body anyway. It helps to protect the messenger RNA. Also salts, we always go have salt in our system, and then a small amount of sugar. So those are the normal ingredients that are in the COVID vaccine, including the messenger RNA, FDA, now it's FDA approved. These COVID-19 vaccines were not developed using fetal tissues. I was surprised when people were talking about that. That's not true, and do not contain any materials such as implants, microchips, or tracking devices. It does not. Last question. Now that we have a vaccine for COVID-19, we can make vaccines for common cold, HIV, and other diseases. Is this true or is this false? It's basically saying, like, since we already created COVID-19, vaccines should be effective for any viruses. I mean, any types of viruses. False. I see. And this is another huge topic too. When I was discussing with some people online, they were saying like, so now if we created this method, that means why can we not like cure HIV and stuff like that? And I was like, how are you connecting these two viruses? They're different viruses, right? But yeah, everybody who says it's false, that was correct. So the thousand of viruses that causes various diseases are very different. Many change, mutate year by year, making it difficult to develop one vaccine that works for a long period of time. Now, if we look at like HIV itself, the virus can hide and make itself undetectable by human immune system, which creates a vaccine for it's really difficult, right? If we look at the cold itself, it's caused any 100 of different viruses can cause it. So it's so hard to find one effective viruses to tackle these. So each viruses are different. Each protein that they need to code for to help boost the immune system in the vaccines are different. Sometimes it's not even possible for some of them. So yeah, so they're not all the same. So even you can see from the structure itself, it's like really different. Some of them, they have different shapes and different protein coding on top. So yeah, so I think that's the last one. And if you want more interesting like myths and want to read articles about these, I have them referenced them here. Other than that, thank you for participating. I hope that was informational.
All right, so I've been typing some questions in the chat, things that I want to know. If you guys have questions or have heard things that other people have asked, and you're curious, go ahead and type whatever you want in there, and then we will get some of those questions answered. So I am going to turn it over to Dr. Douglas. You're on mute. Jeff, you're on mute.
Yep, gotcha. Yep, I know the most common thing ever. You're on mute. All right, well, again, thank you for your time, and I'll go ahead and put this in projection mode. Hopefully you can see this. This is just a groovy slide that I found. Working in clinical research, the decisions that are made that drive whether we evaluate drugs for their efficacy, for how safe they are and for how well they work, and really taking that package to the FDA is all about data and collecting that data and drawing conclusions based upon it. So it's always something that is near and dear to me. So I wanted to share with you a bit about where the world sits with COVID-19 now.
Sorry, can you do a bigger slide? It's like small. It's got the small slide with all the other ones around them.
Oh, okay. Let me see. Let's try.
Yeah, that's, yep.
Perfect. Okay. And so thank you, Janet. And so, when I saw this slide, I thought it was very sobering when you think about the number of people that have been impacted by a virus that that presented itself a little over, I guess about 2 years ago. The numbers are just pretty astounding when you think about it. 250 million people that have been confirmed having COVID-19. And of course, the sad part and the truth of it is the number of deaths that have occurred with that as well. I thought this statistic was pretty incredible to date, and each of you are a part of this human clinical trial that we've got going on right now. But there have been 7.3 billion doses of vaccines that have been given around the world, and that's a hard number for me to even get my head around when you think about the production, the making that accessible to people, and the impact that that these vaccines have had. You can think about it relative to if you have the vaccine, you're of every 10 people, if you've had the vaccine, you're one of those 8 or 9 that aren't either going to get COVID or going to have very minor symptoms of COVID. And also, you do your brother a favor, or your sister, however you want to look at it, in helping to reduce the transmission of it as well. So those were numbers which I thought were important. The other component of this, which I think it is what it is, and we're not out of it, is when you look at how many active cases there still are globally, and that's 100 million. That's a lot of people, that are needing to deal with a very, very serious and deadly infection in people, especially those that are immunocompromised or have health conditions which lend to them not having access to good healthcare, which for the most part in the U.S. we do. The U.S. being an American, we always like to lead in everything that we do. This is one statistic I wish we weren't there. There have been more confirmed cases here within the U.S. than we see in other countries, and I think part of it's helping people to sort through what Timaj just went through, which is perceptions about the vaccine or about COVID-19 as a disease, etc. So, spread the word when you can, in terms of being an advocate with your family members, with friends. It's not easy. I think my proudest moment this year was convincing my grandmother to get the vaccine. And so she's a very headstrong woman at the age of 84. And so I went into it not sure where the conversation was going to end up. And so we talked through it. And I said, ultimately, this is your decision. And then ask her questions about why she hadn't. And she's like, well, if you really want me to, then I'll do it. So my aunt, she runs the health department there. So I called my aunt and I said, my grandmother is coming down there. Can you make sure she doesn't forget and that she goes and gets the shot? And so, the reason I share that is it's not easy to influence others to get the vaccine. But there is such an opportunity for us to get to a state which you may be familiar with, they call herd immunity, where there's enough of people that have been immunized. It happened with polio years and years and years ago. That when that's really the point where this mask is likely to come off, where we will feel comfortable at being able to return to what life felt like a little before COVID, although I'm not quite sure what that even feels like anymore. It's been so long. I thought it may also be helpful to share with you, the guidance that's coming directly from within your state in terms of what the recommendations are from the Health and Human Services there. And it's pretty blunt. And I was glad to see it, that vaccine's really the best way to protect people from COVID-19. There are many clinical trials that are going on right now. And I'd like to acknowledge all the people that participated in the early COVID-19 vaccine trials for taking a risk, and how they've contributed to the broader community with giving their time and having such a successful outcome in terms of developing a vaccine that really does work. It works better than the flu. And so, that's our number one way. That's our best defense right there, is through vaccination. And Timaj, I heard your discussion about the pain or the swollen component, and that does happen in a lot of people. I was lucky. I didn't have hardly any side effect at all, but that's not the case for many people. And so, but in the bigger picture of things, a little soreness, probably worth it, probably worth it. Over here on the left-hand side are numbers about, what's happening within the state of Texas right now. Still a long ways to go in terms of what I believe is getting to a place where we all feel a lot more comfortable about knowing, not only knowing that the vaccines are working, but that we should see less hospitalizations. It's had a dramatic impact on the people we rely on so much, which are those that provide healthcare to us in clinics and in hospitals. Many of them haven't had a break since the pandemic began. And so, these are all, by getting the vaccine, we're one more person that's helping this community return to normalcy and open up borders and return to things as before. Maybe I'll pause there. I've got a couple more slides, but I thought I'd pause here and see what kind of questions people may have.
put some in the chat. And then if anybody has other questions, go ahead and ask those. And some of you guys I know that are on that may not feel comfortable asking questions. If you want to direct message me, you can message me and ask, and then I can ask it for you.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. If you want to just read them out loud, Jeff, and then
sure. The first one is, should we be wearing masks even when we're outside? My personal opinion is no. Practice safe distancing, etc. I would say that if you know you're in a really crowded place and you feel like that you're getting a bit claustrophobic around it, then I think it's probably a good idea. Generally speaking, for myself, if it's an open air place, I'm not wearing my mask. Now, others may disagree with that, but that's just practically how I've been operating. And then the second question, I don't know the answer to that.
It's just like a religious thing. So it is halal, it is permissible. There's nothing in it that's like pork or anything like that. But even if there is pork and it's something that can cure, like it's something that's needed for like health reasons, it would be halal technically. So there's no religious like barriers within that. And I think I think it's the same with all religions too, for now that I know of that research. But yeah.
Thank you for helping me out with that one. I wanted to make sure that I didn't misinterpret that. Heard that the vaccine is what has created the Delta strain. No, the viruses mutate. So the vaccine and the strains, the mutants, aren't connected. We are fortunate that many of the vaccines also do cover the strains. But this is also part of the reason why in my mind, there's a sense of urgency for people to get vaccinated, because the number of mutants that can be reduced by having herd immunity, by having people vaccinated, diminishes. So that's how I think about it. Let's see. Guns. How sure can people be these vaccines are going to be effective? Great question. I'm not, I think right now, they're monitoring this very closely, like the CDC is, and then even globally with other health organizations, they're monitoring that to understand it. There have been these breakthrough cases, but they're still pretty small in number relative to where it is a very, very different mutated disease where the COVID-19 vaccines are working. Yeah. So the myocarditis, that's probably what you've heard about with the heart conditions. On that one, there have been cases of that. They're rare. I believe the statistic I saw, and it's probably worth someone double checking me on this, but I think it was like 54 in a million people. So it's a very, very small incident for these types of events to occur. I think the big news for everyone that's been happening out there over the past couple of weeks, and hopefully you've seen it on the news, or you've read about it on the internet or heard it on the radio, which is around, and Timaj made reference to it, but the Pfizer vaccine being available for those that are ages 5 and up. And this has been fascinating to see evolve. We were discussing this at work from with my colleagues that are parents, And one of the ladies is like, my son never wants shots and he wants to know when he can get his vaccine. And so, I know that that's not the case in every household, but it was great to hear that. And I know my nephew, he's 11, and he's also of the same sentiment. And, I think just as we all have fatigue with living through COVID, these kiddos do too. And I think they're ready to see it wrap up as quick as possible, and knowing we've still got a ways to go too. Have you guys, have you seen where the vaccines have started to be available for children? Are there clinics where that's available, or through pediatricians?
I'm not sure, but I feel like the Pfizer is offered everywhere. Like there's at Walmart, Albertsons, stuff like that. So I think we're giving it there.
I think actually in Vickery, I think the clinics in Vickery are now offering the 5 to 12 vaccine.
Gotcha. Yep. So, there is, I've went to a link. This is actually on the Department of Health Services there in Texas, and it's got more information about it. It has some, at the click of a button, you can learn more about what to know there. I really liked, and the other thing I was going to share with you was there is an app called V-Safe. It's V-Safe. And that can help to support you in, it's an app, and it can help to support you in understanding with health check-ins and ensuring that your kid gets the COVID vaccine. Help remind you when they do need to get their booster, and if there's any sort of adverse event. So an adverse event doesn't have to be a bad thing. So the swelling thing, that's important to share, that the swelling occurred, etc. So there's that's also out there. And I loved this. I did not know this was out there before we started to talk about this, but how easy can it be if you either want to find a vaccine by going to vaccines.gov, calling this number, or by texting from your phone to 438829. It makes it pretty straightforward to be able to find a vaccine. And people shouldn't worry about their immigration status. They shouldn't worry about their health status. Just do it.
That's really good. Thank you for sharing that last bit.
Yeah, you bet. Yep. There's still a lot we're learning about it. Where I work, we do COVID tests. The first thing you do is you come in and you take a COVID test, and then the last day of the week, we're also taking a COVID test. And so, it's what you can do locally is so important in line with what is happening at even a national and a global level to try to manage through this pandemic. It sure has not been easy for people, and both with loss of family members as well as economic impact there too. It's really been incredible.
So is that the last slide?
That's the last slide, Janet. Yep.
Awesome. So if you guys have any other questions, or what I'm going to do is I'm going to send out this recording to all of the scholars. So Angelina, Tosmanara, Isabel, you guys will be able to watch it. I know this is a lot of information. So you can watch it, pause it on certain slides so you can kind of look at that, and you can pass it around to family members or friends. I know a lot of you guys probably it's about translating, and so I know that that might be a big thing. Use the video to give to other, you could give to other adults that maybe could translate it for your family. So I know that sometimes that's hard for you guys because your language, your translation skills are, that's challenging. So, and there's a lot of big words and all of that. So if feel free to pass the video around. I will upload it to YouTube and then send it out to you guys so you can have it. And so hopefully that helps. If you have any other questions, feel free to message me and then we can always get back. So Dr. Douglas is a very good friend, and I think he will be willing to answer any further questions or connect us with people who can. And you guys know Timaj, and she's there every Thursday night. Jumi is also a public health major and can probably answer some questions as well. So is Mr. Innocent. So we actually have a lot of public health. Eleni is as well. So yeah, all of our interns pretty much have like public health backgrounds and can help answer some of those questions about the vaccine. So, so hopefully that's been helpful. I hope you guys got something out of it. And I guess we can stop the recording and end it. But thank you guys so much for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your wisdom, Dr. Douglas. That was really like amazing review. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. The only other point I would make is that independent of which vaccine, just get vaccinated. I wouldn't waste my time worrying about which one it is. Just do it.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you. Take care, everyone. Happy holidays.